The heart monitor screamed once, then went silent. Everyone stepped back. The legendary commander, the man who'd survived 3 wars and 9 near-death extractions, was gone. Flatlined. Finished. The chief surgeon, Dr. Marcus Grayson, exhaled slowly and reached for the time of death sheet. "We did everything we could," he said, his voice flat, rehearsed. But in the back corner of the trauma bay, a small woman in wrinkled scrubs didn't move. Anna Hayes stood perfectly still, her eyes locked on the body. She'd been invisible all shift, fetching supplies, shadowing the real doctors, enduring dismissive glances. Now, while everyone else gave up, she leaned forward and whispered 4 words no civilian should know. "Phantom unit, extraction clear." The commander's hand twitched, just once. But it was enough to crack the certainty in the room. Someone gasped. A nurse stumbled backward. And Dr. Grayson froze, his pen hovering above the paper, because the impossible had just happened. And the woman who made it happen was someone he'd been ignoring for 6 months. "If you're still here, stay with me. This story doesn't end where you think it does. I need you to follow it all the way through, because the truth doesn't show itself in the first 5 minutes. Like, subscribe and drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story travels." Anna Hayes had been at Black Ridge Military Hospital for 11 months, and in that time, she'd learned one undeniable truth. No one listened to nurses, especially not her. She was quiet. She was small. She moved through hallways like a shadow, efficient and unnoticed. When doctors barked orders, she followed them. When patients needed reassurance, she offered it softly. And when mistakes were made, frequent, preventable mistakes, she said nothing. Because speaking up only made things worse. Dr. Marcus Grayson, chief of emergency medicine, had perfected the art of dismissal. He didn't yell. He didn't insult. He simply acted as though certain people didn't exist. When Anna suggested an alternate diagnosis during rounds one morning, he'd continued speaking as if she hadn't opened her mouth. When she pointed out a dosage error on a ventilated patient, he'd handed the chart to a resident and said, "Double-check the nurse's math." The resident had confirmed Anna was right, but Grayson never acknowledged it. He just moved on. That was the pattern. Ignore, override, move forward. It wore people down. Most of the other nurses had stopped trying. They clocked in, followed orders, clocked out. But Anna kept watching, kept noticing. Because noticing was a habit she couldn't shake, no matter how much easier it would have been to stop. The other nurses had warned her during her first week. "Don't bother with Grayson," said Maria, a veteran ICU nurse with 20 years under her belt. "He's got his system. You're just furniture to him." Anna had smiled politely and nodded, but part of her thought maybe it would be different. Maybe if she proved herself, stayed sharp, kept patients alive, maybe then she'd earn a seat at the table. 11 months later, she knew better. She'd watched Grayson ignore a respiratory therapist's warning about a ventilator malfunction. The patient coded 10 minutes later. She'd seen him override a pharmacist's concern about a drug interaction. The patient seized. Every time, Grayson found a way to deflect blame. Equipment failure. Underlying conditions. Bad luck. Never his judgment, and definitely never because he'd ignored someone beneath his pay grade. Anna had stopped expecting recognition. She just did her job, checked vitals, administered meds, monitored for the things machines couldn't catch, the subtle changes in skin tone, the shift in breathing rhythm, the look in a patient's eyes that said something was deeply wrong. She'd learned to trust her instincts in places most people never saw. Field hospitals where supplies ran out and improvisation meant survival. Forward operating bases where the nearest surgeon was 3 hours away by helicopter. War zones where listening to your gut was the difference between bringing someone home and zipping them into a bag. But no one here knew that. As far as Black Ridge was concerned, Anna Hayes was just another nurse. Forgettable, replaceable, convenient. On a cold Tuesday in early March, everything changed. The call came in at 6:47 a.m. Military convoy, incoming trauma, ETA 4 minutes. The entire emergency department snapped into motion, beds cleared, IV lines prepped. Grayson appeared from his office, already gloved, already in command. "This is a VIP case, fam," he announced to the room. "Full protocol, no mistakes." Anna was assigned to secondary support, which meant she'd be handling the background work, monitoring vitals, fetching equipment, staying out of the way. She pulled on fresh gloves and positioned herself near the crash cart, silent and ready. The doors burst open. 6 soldiers in tactical gear rushed in, surrounding a stretcher. On it lay a man in his late 50s, unconscious, his fatigue stained with sweat and blood. His name patch read Walker. Commander Elliot Walker. Anna's breath caught, but she kept her face neutral. She knew that name. Everyone in the military medical world knew that name. Walker was a legend. 3 decades of special operations, multiple classified missions, a man who'd been declared dead twice and walked out of both funerals. The kind of soldier they made movies about, except his missions were too classified to ever be filmed. And now he was here, barely breathing, his skin pale and clammy. "Trauma Bay 2, Grayson ordered. "Move." They transferred Walker onto the bed with practiced speed. Anna hooked up the monitors while a senior resident began cutting away the commander's uniform. Heart rate, 142. Blood pressure, 88/52. Oxygen saturation, 91% and dropping. "He collapsed during a briefing," one of the soldiers reported. "No injury, no impact, just went down." Grayson frowned, his hands already moving across Walker's torso, checking for wounds, fractures, anything obvious. "Medical history? Classified." "I don't care if it's classified. I need to know what I'm working with." The soldier's expression didn't change. "Classified, sir." Grayson's jaw tightened, but he didn't argue. He turned to the team. "Run a full metabolics panel, chest x-ray, CT scan, start a saline drip, and get me his tox screen." The orders came fast, efficient, textbook. Anna moved quietly, adjusting IV lines, labeling blood samples, her hands steady even as her mind worked faster. She watched Walker's breathing, shallow, irregular. She watched the monitors, heart rate climbing despite the fluids. She watched Grayson, focused, confident, missing something. The lab tech rushed samples out. The radiology team wheeled in the portable X-ray. Grayson stood at the head of the bed, calling out instructions with the precision of a conductor leading an orchestra. He was good at this part. The choreography of emergency medicine, the decisive commands that made everyone feel like they were working towards something. But Anna had seen enough trauma to know that confidence wasn't the same as correctness. And right now, Grayson was treating symptoms without understanding the cause. Walker's body was shutting down, yes, but not the way Grayson thought. 20 minutes later, the results came back. No fractures, no internal bleeding, no toxins. Nothing that explained why a healthy, battle-hardened commander was circling the drain. "It doesn't make sense," the resident muttered, scrolling through the digital charts. Grayson ignored him, already reviewing the scans on a tablet. "Increase the saline, add a vasopressor. We're losing him." Anna glanced at the monitor. Heart rate, 156. Blood pressure still dropping. She took a small step closer. "Dr. Grayson?" "Not now." His breathing pattern. "I said not now." She stepped back, but she didn't stop watching because the pattern was there. Subtle. Easy to miss if you weren't looking for it. Walker's chest rose and fell in uneven bursts, not the rhythm of organ failure, not the shallow gasps of respiratory collapse. It was controlled, restrained, like someone fighting to stay under, like someone trained to endure interrogation. Anna had seen it before, years ago, in a field hospital on the other side of the world, where dying men had been trained not to scream, where soldiers were taught to compartmentalize pain, to lock their minds away in a safe space while their bodies endured hell. She'd watched men flatline on operating tables, only to come back when someone said the right words, the right call signs, the right promises. Walker wasn't dying. He was hiding. "He's not dying," she said quietly. Grayson didn't even look up. "Then why is he coding?" "He's not. He's dissociating." Now Grayson did look. His expression was ice. "Nurse Hayes, step back." His vitals aren't dropping because of organ failure. They're dropping because his body's in a defensive state. He's mentally locked down. It's a trauma response. That's not a real diagnosis. It is if you've seen it in the field. The room went quiet. Every eye turned toward Anna. She felt the weight of it, the disbelief, the irritation, the silent judgment. Grayson set down the tablet slowly, deliberately. When he spoke, his voice was calm, too calm. "You're a nurse," he said. not a trauma psychologist, not a combat specialist, a nurse. And if you interrupt my work again, you'll be reassigned to laundry duty. Do I make myself clear? Anna's throat tightened, but she nodded. Understood. She moved back to the wall, hands clasped, invisible again. But her eyes stayed on Walker. And her gut told her the same thing it had told her a dozen times in field hospitals. Grayson was about to kill him. Grayson returned to Walker, adjusting medications, barking orders, pushing harder. He added epinephrine to the drip, increased the vasopressor dose, ordered another round of imaging. The heart rate climbed to 168. The oxygen saturation dipped to 87. The numbers were screaming at him to stop. But Grayson kept going. Because in his world, stopping meant failure. And failure wasn't an option. Anna watched the monitors, watched Walker's face. The commander's eyelids flickered, not the flutter of someone slipping away, but the rapid movement of someone trapped in a nightmare. His fingers twitched, his jaw clenched. He was fighting something none of the machines could see. Doctor, his pupils, a resident started. Dilated, I see it. Increase oxygen to 100%. But his SATs are... Do it. The oxygen mask went on. Walker's body stiffened. And then, chaos. His back arched off the bed, every muscle seizing at once. Alarms shrieked. He's seizing, someone shouted. Ativan, now! Grayson grabbed the syringe, his hands moving fast, too fast. He injected it directly into the IV line. Anna opened her mouth to stop him. Too much. Too fast. Wrong approach. But the words didn't come out in time. For 5 seconds, Walker's body went rigid. His eyes rolled back. His breath stopped. Then he collapsed. Flatlined. The monitor screamed that single, unbroken tone, the sound every medical professional dreads. Grayson froze. The resident stepped back. A nurse covered her mouth. One of the soldiers swore under his breath. Charge the paddles, Grayson said. His voice was tight now, uncertain. They shocked Walker once. His body jerked. No response. Twice. Nothing. 3 times. Still nothing. No pulse. No breath. No flicker of life. Time of death, Grayson started, his voice hollow. No. Anna's voice cut through the room like a blade. She was moving before anyone could stop her, stepping past the resident, past the crash cart, straight to Walker's side. Grayson's head snapped up. Nurse Hayes, step back. He's not dead. There's no pulse. Because you pushed him into shutdown. You flooded his system and his brain locked down to protect itself. That's not... Move. Anna didn't wait for permission. She placed one hand on Walker's wrist, the other on his chest, leaned down close to his ear. And in a voice steady and low, she spoke. Phantom unit. Extraction clear. Silence. 1 second. 2. 3. The room held its breath. Then, Walker's chest hitched, a shallow, stuttering breath. The monitor beeped. Once. Twice. A weak, irregular pulse. Anna didn't move. She kept her hand on his wrist, her voice calm, repeating the words like a mantra. You're out. Mission's over. Stand down, Commander. You're home. Walker's breathing deepened. His eyelids flickered. The pulse strengthened, steadied. The monitor settled into a rhythm, slow but real. Every person in the room stared. Grayson's mouth opened, but no sound came out. The resident looked like he'd just witnessed a magic trick. Maria, standing near the door, crossed herself. One of the soldiers stepped forward, his eyes locked on Anna. His face had gone pale. That call sign, he said quietly. How do you know that call sign? Anna straightened, her face unreadable. I was there. Where? Kandahar, 2019, Firebase Viper. The soldier's expression shifted. Recognition, disbelief, something close to awe. Your shadow. Anna didn't confirm it. She didn't need to. The room had already changed. The air felt different, heavier. The other soldiers were staring now, too. One of them, a younger guy with a scar across his jaw, took a step forward. Shadow died, he said. The report said... The report was wrong. Anna's voice was flat, final. She turned back to Walker, adjusting his IV with steady hands, checking his pupils, monitoring his breathing. Professional, detached, like she hadn't just brought a flatlined man back from the edge. Grayson found his voice. What the hell is going on? The first soldier didn't look at him. He kept his eyes on Anna. She's the medic. The one who held the line when the compound got overrun. Commander Walker took shrapnel to the chest and a collapsed lung. She kept him alive for 16 hours under fire while insurgents tried to breach the perimeter. We thought she was KYA when the building collapsed. Anna's jaw tightened. I wasn't. Then where? I left. The word hung in the air, sharp and final. She turned back to Walker, adjusting the oxygen flow, her hands moving with the kind of precision that only comes from repetition under pressure. He's stable now, but he needs quiet. No more shocks, no more drugs, just time. Grayson stepped forward, his face red. You don't get to give orders in my trauma bay. Anna met his eyes. For the first time in 11 months, she didn't look away, didn't soften, didn't back down. Then stop killing your patients. The room went dead silent. Grayson's hands clenched into fists, his mouth opened, closed, opened again. You're out of line. Am I? Anna's voice was calm, too calm. You ignored the pattern, ignored the signs, pushed aggressive treatment on a patient whose body was already in defensive mode. You didn't listen when I told you what was happening, and you flatlined him. I was trying to save his life. You were trying to prove you were right. The words landed like a slap. Grayson's face went white, then red. He took a step toward her, but before he could say anything, another voice cut in, low, rough, barely a whisper. Anna. Everyone turned. Commander Walker's eyes were open, barely, but they were locked on her. You're still here. Anna's expression softened, just slightly. The hardness in her eyes faded for half a second. Yeah, I'm still here. Walker's mouth twitched, something close to a smile. Figured you'd be on a beach somewhere. Beaches are boring. Liar. Anna allowed herself the smallest smile. Rest, Commander. You're safe. Walker's eyes drifted shut again, and he slipped into real sleep. Stable. Breathing. Alive. The soldier who'd recognized Anna stepped back and did something no one in the room expected. He saluted. Sharp. Precise. Military perfect. 2 other soldiers followed. Then a 4th. Then the younger one with the scar. 5 soldiers standing at attention in the middle of a civilian trauma bay, saluting a nurse in wrinkled scrubs. Anna didn't return it. She just nodded once. Then she turned and walked toward the door. Nurse Hayes. Grayson's voice stopped her. She turned. He stood there, surrounded by his team, his authority suddenly fragile. The man who'd spent 11 months treating her like furniture now looked at her like she was a stranger. You saved his life. Anna's expression didn't change. I know. How did you? I listened. She pushed through the doors and walked out. The hallway was empty, quiet. She made it 3 steps before her hands started shaking. She pressed them against the wall, breathed deep, and waited for the adrenaline to pass. It took 2 minutes. When she straightened, her hands were steady again. She headed for the staff lounge, intending to grab coffee and disappear into paperwork for the rest of her shift. But the story wasn't over. Not even close. Because Commander Walker wasn't just any patient. And the reason he'd collapsed wasn't medical. It was operational. Inside Trauma Bay 2, Grayson stood frozen, staring at the doors Anna had just walked through. Maria approached him carefully. Doctor? He didn't answer. You okay? Grayson blinked, then looked at her. Who is she? Anna? She's been here almost a year. You've worked with her dozens of times. I know that, but who is she really? Maria hesitated. I don't know. She keeps to herself, does her job, goes home. She just brought a dead man back with 4 words. Yeah. Maria glanced at the monitors, at Walker's steady vitals. She did. Grayson turned to the soldiers. You said she was at Firebase Viper. What does that mean? The lead soldier, whose name tag read Porter, exchanged a glance with the others. Then he looked back at Grayson. It means she's seen things you can't imagine, and survived things that killed everyone else. Before Grayson could respond, the elevator at the end of the hall chimed. The doors opened. 3 men in black suits stepped out. They weren't doctors. They weren't soldiers. They moved with the kind of purpose that made people step aside without being asked. Porter's expression changed. Shit. What? Grayson asked. Those are agency. What agency? The kind you don't ask questions about. The men in suits walked straight past the nurses' station, straight past the waiting area, and stopped outside Trauma Bay 2. The lead agent, a man in his 40s with graying temples and dead eyes, glanced through the window at Walker. Then he turned to Porter. Where's the nurse? Porter's face went blank. What nurse? The one who resuscitated the commander. We reviewed the security footage. Where is she? Porter didn't answer. The agent's expression didn't change. This isn't optional, Sergeant. She's off duty. No, she's not. Her shift doesn't end for 6 hours. Where is she? Grayson stepped forward, his doctor voice kicking in. I'm the attending physician. If you have questions about the patient, you can direct them to me. The agent looked at him the way someone might look at a piece of lint. We're not interested in the patient. We're interested in Anna Hayes, and you're going to tell us where she is. Grayson bristled. I don't take orders from... Oh, yes you do. The agent pulled out a badge. It wasn't FBI, it wasn't Homeland Security, it was something else. Something with a seal Grayson didn't recognize and clearance levels he didn't have access to. Anna Hayes is a person of interest in an ongoing investigation. You will tell us her location. Now. Grayson's mouth went dry. He glanced at Maria, who looked just as lost. She went to the staff lounge, down the hall, second door on the left. The agent nodded to his colleagues. They moved immediately, heading down the corridor with synchronized efficiency. Porter stepped forward. Wait, what investigation? Shadow's been out for years. She's clean. The lead agent glanced back. That's not your concern, Sergeant. The hell it's not. She saved the commander's life. We're aware. Then why are you hunting her down like she's a fugitive? The agent's expression finally shifted, just a flicker of something cold. Because 3 hours ago, someone accessed a classified database using credentials that belonged to a dead operative, and the access point traced back to this hospital. Porter's face went pale. That's impossible. Anna wouldn't what? Wouldn't use her old clearance? Wouldn't dig into files she's not supposed to see? Or wouldn't get caught? The agent turned and followed his team down the hall. Porter looked at Grayson. You need to lock this place down. What? Why? Because if they think Anna's compromised, they won't just arrest her. They'll disappear her. Grayson's stomach dropped. You're saying I'm saying you have no idea what kind of world she came from, or what happens to people who know too much. Porter grabbed his radio. All units, we have a potential security breach. Lock down the hospital. No one in or out. Grayson stood there, his mind racing. Anna Hayes, the quiet nurse who never caused trouble, who saved lives without asking for credit, who just brought a dead man back with a whisper. She was being hunted, and Grayson had just told them exactly where to find her. In the staff lounge, Anna sat alone with a cup of coffee, staring at nothing. Her hands were steady now. Her breathing was calm. But her mind was somewhere else. Firebase Viper. 16 hours of gunfire. The smell of blood and burning fuel. Walker's voice, weak but steady, telling her to leave him, to save herself. She'd refused. Held the line, kept him breathing. And when the building collapsed, she'd crawled out of the rubble alone. They'd listed her as KIA. She'd let them. Because going back meant questions, debriefs, investigations into why she'd survived when 6 others hadn't. She didn't have answers. Only guilt. So she disappeared, changed her name, started over, became a nurse, a nobody. It had worked for 5 years. Until today. The door to the lounge opened. Anna didn't look up. Lounge is full, she said quietly. I can see that. The voice was male, unfamiliar. She looked up. 3 men in suits. The lead one smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Anna Hayes? She set down her coffee. Who's asking? My name is Agent Darnell. I work for an organization that's very interested in people with your skill set. I'm a nurse. You were a lot of things. Darnell stepped closer. We need to ask you a few questions. It won't take long. Anna's instincts kicked in immediately. She clocked the exits, 1 door behind the agents, 1 emergency exit to her left, both probably covered. She noted their posture, relaxed but ready. hands near their waistbands, armed. Am I under arrest? Not yet. Then I don't have to answer anything. You do if you want to avoid a very public scene. Anna stood slowly. I haven't done anything wrong. Then you won't mind coming with us. One of the other agents moved to her right, cutting off the emergency exit. Anna's pulse stayed steady, but her mind shifted into combat mode. She'd been in tighter spots, worse odds. I'm in the middle of a shift, she said. My patients need me. Your patients will be fine. You, on the other hand, have some explaining to do. Darnell pulled out a tablet, swiped the screen, and turned it toward her. On it was a login screen, a classified database, and a timestamp from 3 hours ago. Recognize this? Anna's face didn't change, but inside her stomach twisted. No. Really? Because the access credentials belong to an operative named Shadow. Ring any bells? That operative is dead. Is she? Darnell's smile widened. Because someone used her credentials this morning, and the IP address traces back to this hospital, so either you're lying or someone's using your identity. Either way, you're coming with us. Anna's mind raced. She hadn't accessed anything, hadn't used those credentials in 5 years. Someone was setting her up. But proving that meant cooperating, and cooperating meant walking into a black site she might never walk out of. She glanced at the agents, calculated her odds. Then she heard it, footsteps in the hallway. Heavy. Military. The door burst open. Porter stood there, flanked by 2 other soldiers, rifles slung but hands ready. Step away from her. Darnell didn't move. This is federal business, Sergeant. This is a military hospital, and she's under our protection. She's a suspect in a classified breach. She just saved Commander Walker's life. You really think she'd compromise him? Darnell's expression hardened. I think she's a ghost who's been off the grid for 5 years, and I think ghosts don't stay hidden unless they have something to hide. Porter stepped forward. You want her? Go through me. The tension in the room was suffocating. Anna stood perfectly still, her eyes moving between the agents and the soldiers. This was about to turn ugly, and she was the reason. She took a breath. Stand down, Sergeant. Porter looked at her. Anna, I said stand down. I'll go with them. You don't have to. Yes, I do. She looked at Darnell. I'll answer your questions, but I'm not going anywhere without a lawyer. And I want everything on record. Darnell considered her, then he nodded. Fine. We'll do this by the book. He gestured to the door. Anna walked toward it, her mind already 3 steps ahead. She didn't know who'd set her up, didn't know why. But she knew one thing. Whoever did this had just made a very dangerous mistake. Because Anna Hayes wasn't just a nurse. She wasn't just a medic. She was someone who'd survived when everyone else died. And if someone thought they could bury her again, they were about to learn what happened when you backed a ghost into a corner. The agents escorted her down the hallway. Behind them, Porter grabbed his radio. Get me command, now! And in Trauma Bay 2, Commander Walker's eyes opened. He stared at the ceiling, listening to the chaos outside. Then he smiled. About damn time. The interrogation room smelled like stale coffee and fear. Anna sat at a metal table bolted to the floor, hands folded, posture relaxed. She'd been here for 40 minutes and hadn't said a word. Across from her, Agent Darnell leaned back in his chair, tablet in hand, watching her like she was a puzzle he was about to solve. His 2 colleagues stood by the door, silent sentinels. The room had no windows, 1 camera in the corner, standard setup. You're very calm for someone in your position, Darnell said. Anna didn't respond. Most people would be asking questions by now, demanding answers. You're just sitting there. Still nothing. Darnell set the tablet down. Let me tell you what I think happened. I think you've been lying low for 5 years, playing nurse, blending in, but old habits die hard. You got curious. Maybe you heard Walker was in the field again. Maybe you wanted to check up on him. So you accessed the database. Just a quick look. No harm, right? Anna met his eyes. I didn't access anything. Then who did? I don't know. Come on, Anna. Those credentials are biometric. Retinal scan, fingerprint, voice recognition. You can't fake that. You can if you know what you're doing. Darnell smiled. So you're saying someone cloned your biometrics and framed you? I'm saying I didn't do it. And if you had real evidence, you wouldn't be wasting time talking to me. Darnell's smile faded. He leaned forward, elbows on the table. You know what I think? I think you're protecting someone. Maybe Walker. Maybe one of those soldiers out there who looks at you like you're a war hero. But here's the thing, protection only works if you're valuable. And right now, you're just a liability. Anna's expression didn't change. Am I under arrest? Not yet. Then we're done. She stood. Darnell didn't move. Sit down. No. Sit down. Anna walked to the door. One of the agents stepped in front of her, blocking the exit. She stopped inches away, looked up at him, and spoke quietly. Move. The agent glanced at Darnell. Sir? Darnell sighed, then nodded. The agent stepped aside. Anna pulled the door open and walked out into the hallway. Porter was waiting, leaning against the wall with his arms crossed. When he saw her, he straightened. You okay? Fine. They charge you with anything? Not yet. Porter fell into step beside her. Command's involved now. They want to know what the hell is going on. Anna turned a corner, heading back toward the emergency department. What did you tell them? That you saved Walker's life, that you're clean, but they're running their own investigation, and Darnell's not the only one asking questions. Anna's jaw tightened. Who else? Someone from Joint Special Operations. They're pulling your old files, everything from Kandahar forward. There's nothing in those files. You sure about that? Anna stopped walking, looked at him. What do you know, Porter? Porter hesitated. Then he pulled her into an empty stairwell, out of sight from the cameras. When he spoke, his voice was low. Walker didn't collapse because of a medical condition. He was triggered. Anna's pulse quickened, but her face stayed neutral. Triggered how? Someone sent him a message, a photograph. It was from Kandahar, from the day Firebase Viper fell. Anna's stomach dropped. What was in the photograph? Porter's eyes were hard. You, standing in the rubble, alive. The words hit her like a punch. She leaned back against the concrete wall, her mind racing. Someone had a photograph of her after the collapse, which meant someone knew she'd survived, knew she'd walked away, and they'd used it to break Walker. Who sent it? Anna asked. Unknown number, encrypted. But the metadata traces back to a server in Eastern Europe. Whoever did this wanted Walker to see it, wanted him to know you were alive, and when he saw it, he went into shock. Porter nodded. His brain couldn't process it. You were dead, confirmed KIA. Except you weren't, and that contradiction triggered a full dissociative break. Anna closed her eyes, breathed. When she opened them again, her voice was steady. Someone's playing us. Yeah, but who? And why? I don't know. But if they have that photograph, they know what happened at Viper. And they're using it. Porter's expression darkened. You need to disappear, Anna. Right now, before this gets worse. I'm not running. You don't have a choice. If Command thinks you're compromised, I'm not compromised. I'm being set up. Then prove it. Anna pushed off the wall and headed back into the hallway. Porter followed. Where are you going? To talk to Walker. He's still sedated. Then I'll wait. She made it halfway to the ICU before her phone buzzed. She pulled it out, glanced at the screen. Unknown number, a single message. You should have stayed dead. Anna's blood went cold. She showed the screen to Porter, his face paled. That's a threat. No, that's a warning. Before Porter could respond, the hospital's PA system crackled to life. Code black. Repeat, code black. All personnel to emergency protocol stations. This is not a drill. Anna and Porter exchanged a glance. Code black meant active threat. Shooter, bomb, terrorist attack. Something immediate and deadly. The hallway erupted into controlled chaos. Nurses rushed patients into rooms. Doctors barked orders. Security flooded the corridors. Porter grabbed his radio. All units report. What's the threat? Static. Then a voice, tight with fear. Perimeter breach. Unknown hostiles. They're heading for the ICU. Anna's heart slammed against her ribs. The ICU, where Walker was. She broke into a run, Porter right behind her. They reached the ICU entrance just as the shooting started. The sound was unmistakable. Suppressed rifle fire, controlled bursts, Professional. Anna dropped low, pressing against the wall. Porter pulled his sidearm, eyes scanning the corridor. How many? He hissed. At least 3, Anna said. Maybe more. They're after Walker. I know. Anna glanced around the corner. The ICU was a war zone. 2 security guards were down, bleeding. A nurse was dragged behind a desk, hands over her head, and 3 men in black tactical gear moved methodically through the unit, checking rooms. They weren't rushing, weren't panicking. They knew exactly what they were doing. We need backup, Porter said. Anna didn't answer. She was already moving. She slipped through a side door into the supply room, grabbed a crash cart, and shoved it into the hallway. It rolled silently, picking up speed. One of the gunmen turned just as the cart slammed into him, knocking him off balance. Anna was on him in a heartbeat. She grabbed his rifle, twisted it out of his grip, and drove her elbow into his throat. He went down choking. Porter fired twice, hitting the second gunman in the shoulder. The man spun, returned fire, and Porter ducked back behind cover. The third gunman turned toward Anna. She raised the stolen rifle, but didn't fire. Drop it, the gunman said. His voice was calm. American accent. Trained. Anna didn't move. Who sent you? Drop the weapon. Answer me. The gunman's finger tightened on the trigger. Last chance. Anna dropped the rifle, but as it clattered to the floor, she kicked it hard, sending it skidding toward Porter. The gunman fired, missing her by inches, and Anna dove behind a medication cart. Porter grabbed the rifle, popped up, and fired 3 quick shots. The third gunman went down. Silence. Anna stood slowly, breathing hard. Porter moved forward, checking the bodies. 2 dead, 1 unconscious. He looked at Anna. You good? Yeah. That was insane. That was necessary. They moved deeper into the ICU, clearing rooms. Most of the patients had been evacuated or were hiding, but when they reached Walker's room, the door was open. The bed was empty. Anna's stomach dropped. No. Porter rushed in, checking behind the door, under the bed. He's gone. They took him. Or he left. Anna turned, scanning the hallway. Blood on the floor, a trail leading toward the back exit. She followed it, Porter behind her. The trail led to a service elevator. The doors were open. Inside, more blood. And a phone. Anna picked it up. The screen was cracked, but it still worked. One message sent 2 minutes ago. Viper protocol activated. Extraction in progress. Porter read over her shoulder. What the hell is Viper protocol? Anna's mind raced. Viper protocol. It was a failsafe. A last resort evac plan for deep cover operatives who'd been compromised. She'd heard about it once, years ago, during a briefing she wasn't supposed to attend. It meant Walker wasn't kidnapped. He'd triggered his own extraction, which meant he didn't trust the hospital, didn't trust the military, didn't trust anyone. He's running, Anna said. From what? From whoever sent that photograph. Porter grabbed his radio. All units, Commander Walker is mobile and potentially hostile. Do not engage. Repeat, do not engage. Locate and secure only. Anna started toward the stairs. Where are you going? Porter called. To find him before someone else does. Anna, wait. She didn't wait. She took the stairs 3 at a time, descended 6 floors, and burst out into the parking garage. The air was cold, damp, tire marks on the concrete, fresh. She followed them to the exit ramp, but by the time she reached the street, the vehicle was gone. Anna stood there, breathing hard, her mind working through the angles. Walker was in the wind. Someone had sent gunmen to kill him. Someone had framed her for a security breach. And someone had a photograph that shouldn't exist. It all connected. But she couldn't see the shape of it yet. Her phone buzzed again. Another message. This time, a photo attachment. She opened it, and her blood turned to ice. It was the photograph from Kandahar. Her standing in the rubble of Firebase Viper, covered in dust and blood, staring at the camera with dead eyes. But there was something else in the frame. Something she hadn't noticed before. A man. In the background, half hidden in shadow. She zoomed in. The face was blurred, but the uniform was clear. U.S. military. Officer rank. And pinned to his chest, a medal Anna recognized. The Silver Star. Only 12 people had received that medal at Viper. and 11 of them were dead. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. Who is this? A voice. Male. Distorted. You have 48 hours. For what? To disappear. Again. Or everyone you care about dies, starting with Walker. The line went dead. Anna stood there, the phone trembling in her hand. Someone knew everything. Knew about Viper, knew about Walker, knew about her, and they were tying up loose ends. She turned and ran back into the hospital, found Porter in the ICU coordinating with security. We need to lock this place down, she said. Already done. It's not enough. Whoever's doing this, they're military. They have access. They have intel. And they're not going to stop until Walker and I are both dead. Porter stared at her. Why? What happened at Viper? Anna's jaw tightened. Something we weren't supposed to survive. Anna, I need to see the restricted files, the classified after-action reports from Kandahar. All of them. You don't have clearance. Then get me someone who does. Porter hesitated, then nodded. I'll make a call. But if you're wrong about this, I'm not. 20 minutes later, Anna was in a secure conference room with a laptop and a stack of digital files that technically didn't exist. Porter stood guard outside. She scrolled through the reports, her eyes scanning for anything out of place. Firebase Viper. 16-hour siege. 6 casualties. 1 survivor. Her. The official story. Insurgent attack. Overwhelming force. Bad intel. Standard combat loss. But buried in the annexes, in a section marked Eyes Only, she found something else. A secondary report. Unsigned. It detailed a classified asset extraction that had taken place during the siege. A high-value target had been inside the compound. Someone the military wanted alive. And when the insurgents attacked, someone had made a choice. Evacuate the asset. Leave the soldiers behind. Anna's hands shook as she read. The asset had gotten out. The soldiers hadn't. She'd been left to die along with Walker and the others. But Walker had survived because of her. And she'd survived because she was too stubborn to quit. The question was, who was the asset? She scrolled further, found a name, redacted. But the metadata was still there. A designation, Cardinal. Anna searched the database for Cardinal. Nothing. The file had been scrubbed, but someone had missed one detail. A logistics manifest, a helicopter extraction. Pilot name, Lieutenant Rebecca Shaw. Co-pilot, Captain Nathan Cross. Anna pulled up personnel records. Shaw was retired. Living in Montana. Cross was dead. Killed in a training accident 3 years ago. Convenient. Anna leaned back, her mind assembling the pieces. Someone had orchestrated the Viper attack, used it as cover to extract an asset, left everyone else to die. And now, 5 years later, someone was cleaning up, killing anyone who knew the truth. Walker had seen the photograph, realized what had happened, and triggered his own extraction. Smart. But he was still in danger, because whoever was behind this wouldn't stop. They'd hunt him, hunt her, hunt anyone who could connect the dots. Anna's phone buzzed. A call from an encrypted number. She answered. Anna Hayes? The voice was female, clipped, professional. Who is this? Colonel Iris Vaughn, Joint Special Operations Command. I need you to come in. Why? Because you're in danger, and I can protect you. I don't need protection. Yes, you do. The people hunting you are very good at what they do, and they don't leave witnesses. Anna's instincts screamed. How do I know you're not one of them? You don't, but you're out of options. Meet me at the north entrance in 10 minutes, alone. And if I don't? Then you'll be dead by morning. Your choice. The line went dead. Anna sat there, weighing her options. Trust a stranger, or run. She'd been running for 5 years. It hadn't worked. She grabbed her jacket and headed for the door. Porter stopped her. Where are you going? To meet someone. Who? Someone who might have answers. Anna, that's a bad idea. I know. She walked out before he could argue. The north entrance was deserted. A single black SUV idled at the curb. The rear door opened. Anna approached slowly, every nerve on edge. Inside the SUV sat a woman in her 50s, sharp-eyed and stone-faced. She wore civilian clothes, but her posture screamed military. "Get in," Colonel Vaughn said. Anna hesitated. "Show me your ID." Vaughn handed over a badge. Anna checked it. Real. Or a very good fake. She climbed in. The door shut behind her. The SUV pulled away from the curb, smooth and fast. Vaughn studied her for a moment. "You're harder to find than I expected." "I've had practice." "So I've heard. Firebase Viper. Impressive survival." "Survival's not impressive. It's just not dying." Vaughn allowed a thin smile. "Fair point." Anna looked out the window. They were heading north, away from the city. "Where are we going?" "Somewhere we can talk without being monitored." "I don't know you." "But you know what happened at Viper, and you know someone's trying to bury it." Anna turned to face her. "Who are you, really?" Vaughn pulled out a tablet, swiped through a few screens, and handed it to Anna. On it was a file. Cardinal. Declassified. Partially. Anna's pulse quickened. "How did you get this?" "Because I wrote it." Anna stared at her. "You were there?" "Not physically, but I authorized the extraction. I gave the order to pull Cardinal out and leave the rest of you behind." The words hung in the air like a blade. Anna's hands clenched. "You left us to die." "I made a tactical decision. Cardinal was a high-value intelligence asset. Losing them would have compromised 3 years of infiltration and cost hundreds of lives." "And the 6 soldiers who died? Acceptable losses." Anna's vision blurred red. "Walker almost died. But he didn't because of you. That doesn't make it right." "No, it doesn't, but it was necessary." Anna shoved the tablet back at her. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because Cardinal is dead. Killed 2 weeks ago in Prague, and now someone is eliminating everyone connected to Viper. They've already taken out Shaw and Cross. Walker's next. Then you, then me. Who's behind it?" "I don't know. But whoever it is, they have access to classified intel and deep pockets. And they're very motivated." "Dude, so what do you want from me?" Vaughn's expression hardened. "I want you to help me find them before they find us." The SUV pulled into an underground garage. The door opened. Vaughn stepped out. Anna followed, every instinct screaming at her to run. But she didn't. Because Vaughn was right. Running wouldn't save her. Only the truth would. They took an elevator down 3 levels, into a facility that didn't officially exist. Secure, silent, sterile. Vaughn led Anna into a briefing room. On the wall, a digital map of the world with red pins marking locations. "These are all the people connected to Viper," Vaughn said. "Pilots, intelligence officers, support staff, 14 names, 10 are already dead." Anna stared at the map. "And the other 4? "Walker, you, me, and 1 other." "Who?" Vaughn pulled up a photograph. A man in his 60s, gray-haired, hard-faced. "General Marcus Hale. He signed off on the Cardinal extraction. He's been in hiding for 3 days." Anna studied the photo. "You think he's behind this?" "No, I think he's next." "Then why isn't he dead yet?" Vaughn's eyes narrowed. "Because he has something they want. Information. Evidence. Something that proves who Cardinal really was." Anna's pulse quickened. "And you think I can find him?" "I think you can convince him to come in. He trusts you. He doesn't even know me. He knows what you did at Viper. He knows you saved Walker. And he knows you're clean." "That makes you the only person he might listen to." Anna crossed her arms. "And if I say no? Then we're all dead by the end of the week." Anna looked at the map, at the red pins, at the faces of people who'd already been erased. She thought about Walker, about the gunman in the ICU, about the voice on the phone telling her to disappear. She'd spent 5 years hiding, playing it safe, being invisible. And it hadn't mattered. Someone had found her anyway. "Where's Hale?" Anna asked. Vaughn smiled. "That's the hard part. He's off grid. No phone. No digital footprint. But I know where he was 3 days ago." "Where?" "A cabin in the Cascades, about 200 miles north. Remote. Defensible." "And you think he's still there?" "I think it's the only lead we have." Anna nodded slowly. I'll need transport, weapons, and someone who knows the terrain. Already arranged. You leave in 2 hours. Vaughn handed her a phone. This is encrypted. Use it to check in every 6 hours. If I don't hear from you, I assume you're compromised. And if you're compromised? Vaughn's smile was cold. Then you're on your own. Anna pocketed the phone and turned to leave, but Vaughn's voice stopped her. One more thing. Anna looked back. When you find Hale, don't trust him. Not completely. Why? Because the person killing everyone connected to Viper? They're not an outsider. They're one of us. Anna's blood ran cold. You're saying... I'm saying someone on the inside ordered the hit. Someone who was at Viper. Someone who knows exactly what happened. And until we know who, everyone's a suspect, including Hale. Anna stared at her. Including you? Vaughn's expression didn't change. Including me. The room fell silent. Anna turned and walked out, her mind racing. Someone on the inside. Someone who'd been there. Someone who knew. She thought about the photograph. The man in the background. The silver star. 11 recipients dead. 1 still alive. Her. She took the elevator back to the surface, stepped out into the cold night air, and pulled out her phone. Dialed Porter. He answered on the first ring. Anna, where the hell are you? Somewhere safe, for now. Darnell's looking for you. He's got a warrant. Let him look. Anna, listen to me. I need you to do something. Pull the service records for everyone who was at Firebase Viper. Everyone. Soldiers, support staff, command. I need names, locations, status. That's classified. I don't care. Do it. Porter hesitated, then, okay, but you owe me an explanation. When this is over, I'll tell you everything. She hung up. 2 hours later, Anna was in a helicopter heading north, the city lights fading behind her. The pilot didn't speak, didn't ask questions, just flew. Anna stared out the window, her mind turning over the pieces. Cardinal. Viper protocol. The photograph. The voice on the phone. It all connected. But the picture wasn't complete. Not yet. Her phone buzzed. A message from Porter. A single file attachment. She opened it. Service records. 14 names. 10 marked deceased. 3 active. 1 unaccounted for. Anna scrolled to the unaccounted name. Her breath stopped. Captain Dylan Shaw. Status? Unknown. Last known location, Firebase Viper, Kandahar, presumed KIA. But there was a note, added 3 days ago. Recent intelligence suggests subject may be alive. Investigation ongoing. Anna stared at the screen. Dylan Shaw, Rebecca Shaw's brother, the pilot who'd extracted Cardinal. He'd been listed as dead, but now someone thought he was alive. And if he was alive, he was the only other person who knew the truth. The helicopter began its descent. Anna looked out the window. Below, dense forest stretched for miles, and somewhere in that darkness, General Hale was waiting. Or a trap was. Anna checked her weapon. Loaded, ready. The helicopter touched down in a clearing. The pilot pointed toward a trail. 3 miles northeast, cabins at the end. Anna climbed out. The rotor wash whipped her hair. She turned back. If I'm not back in 12 hours, I won't be here, the pilot said. Anna nodded. Fair enough. She started walking. The forest was silent. Too silent. No birds, no wind, just her footsteps and her breathing. She moved carefully, scanning for tripwires, cameras, anything that didn't belong. Half a mile in, she found the first one. A motion sensor. Military grade, still active. Someone was watching. She disabled it and kept moving. 2 miles. 3. The cabin appeared through the trees, small, dark. No lights, no smoke from the chimney. Anna circled it once, checking for exits, for ambush points. Then she approached the front door. It was unlocked. She pushed it open, weapon raised. General Hale? Silence. She stepped inside. The cabin was empty. But it had been occupied recently. Food wrappers, a cold coffee mug. A chair by the window, positioned for overwatch. Anna moved through the rooms, bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, all clear. But in the back room she found something. A map. Pinned to the wall. Locations marked in red. Names written in the margins. And in the center, one word. Cardinal. Anna stepped closer, studied the map. The locations matched the red pins from Vaughn's briefing, but there was one more. A new pin, Black Ridge Military Hospital. Anna's heart slammed. Someone had targeted the hospital, targeted Walker, targeted her. And the attack had been planned weeks in advance. She heard a sound behind her, the click of a safety being released. "Don't move." Anna froze. "General Hale?" "Turn around, slowly." She turned. An old man stood in the doorway, rifle aimed at her chest. His face was weathered, eyes sharp. "General Marcus Hale." "Who sent you?" he asked. "Colonel Vaughn." Hale's expression didn't change. "Vaughn's compromised." "She said you'd say that, because it's true. She's the one cleaning up Viper. She's the one killing everyone." Anna's mind raced. "You have proof?" "I have enough." Hale lowered the rifle slightly. "Why are you here?" "To bring you in, to stop this." "You can't stop it. It's already in motion." "Then help me slow it down." Hale studied her for a long moment. Then he lowered the rifle completely. "You're the medic, the one who saved Walker." "Yes." "You shouldn't have come here." "I didn't have a choice." Hale walked to the map, tapped the hospital pin. "They're going to hit again. Bigger this time. They want Walker. They want you. And they want anyone who knows what Cardinal really was." "Who was Cardinal?" Hale turned to face her, and when he spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. Cardinal wasn't a person. It was a program, a black site interrogation unit. Off the books. Illegal. And it was run by someone very high up in the chain of command. Anna's stomach dropped. "Who?" Hale pulled a folder from a desk drawer, handed it to her. She opened it. Inside was a photograph. A young woman, mid-30s, dark hair, cold eyes, and underneath a name, Colonel Iris Vaughn. Anna stared at the photograph, her hand steady but her mind reeling. Vaughn, the woman who'd picked her up, the woman who'd claimed to want answers, the woman who'd sent her into the woods alone. She looked up at Hale. "You're telling me Vaughn ran an illegal interrogation program?" "Not just ran it, created it." Cardinal was her brainchild, a mobile black site unit that operated in war zones under the cover of legitimate military operations. They'd snatch high-value targets, extract intel through any means necessary, then disappear. No records, no oversight, no witnesses. Anna's throat tightened. And Firebase Viper? Was supposed to be their last operation. Vaughn had intelligence on a cell leader hiding in the region. She embedded Cardinal inside Viper, used our soldiers as cover. When the insurgents attacked, it wasn't random. It was retaliation. They knew Cardinal was there, and they wanted everyone dead. But Vaughn extracted her people and left yours to die. Hale's voice was bitter. 6 soldiers, good people, sacrificed so she could protect a program that shouldn't have existed. Anna set the photograph down, her mind racing through the implications. Why kill everyone now, 5 years later? Because someone found out, someone high enough to cause problems, and Vaughn's been systematically erasing anyone who could testify about what really happened. Hale walked to the window, peered out into the darkness. Shaw, Cross, Cardinal's field operatives, the support staff, all dead. And Walker, he saw that photograph and realized the truth. That's why he triggered Viper Protocol. He knew Vaughn would come for him. And me? Hale turned. You're the only other person who was there and survived. You're a liability she can't afford. Anna pulled out the encrypted phone Vaughn had given her, stared at it. A tracking device, a leash. She'd walked right into a trap. She knows I'm here. Of course she does. That phone's broadcasting your location every 30 seconds. She sent you to find me so she could kill us both at the same time. Hale grabbed a go-bag from the closet, already packed. We need to move. Now! Anna crushed the phone under her boot. Where? There's an extraction point 6 miles west. If we move fast... The window exploded. Glass shattered inward as suppressed gunfire tore through the cabin. Anna hit the floor, rolled behind the couch. Hale dove into the kitchen, returning fire through the broken window. How many? Anna shouted. At least 4, professional. They've got the perimeter locked down. Anna crawled to the back room, grabbed the rifle Hale had dropped, and checked the magazine. 12 rounds. She moved to the side window, scanned the tree line. Muzzle flashes. 2 shooters on the north side. She fired twice, forcing them into cover. "We can't hold this position." "Basement," Hale said. "There's a tunnel. Leads to a drainage culvert half a mile out." "Go. I'll cover." Hale didn't argue. He kicked open a floor panel near the kitchen, dropped down into darkness. Anna provided suppressing fire, burning through half her magazine before the shooters adjusted their position. She heard movement on the roof. Boots. Light. Fast. She fired upward, punching holes through the ceiling. Someone grunted. A body hit the roof, rolled off, crashed into the dirt outside. Anna sprinted for the basement, dropped through the hatch, slammed it shut above her. Total darkness. She pulled a small flashlight from her pocket, clicked it on. Hale was already 20 feet ahead, moving through a narrow earthen tunnel reinforced with timber. "Keep up," he called back. They ran. The tunnel was low, cramped. Anna's shoulders scraped the walls. Behind them, muffled explosions. The cabin was being demolished. Whoever Vaughn had sent wasn't taking chances. The tunnel opened into a concrete drainage pipe, wide enough to stand. Hale picked up speed. Anna followed, her lungs burning. They emerged into a ravine choked with brush and fallen trees. Hale paused, listening. Anna did the same. Silence. No pursuit. Yet. "They'll be tracking our heat signatures," Anna said. Hale pulled 2 thermal blankets from his bag, handed one to Anna. "Wrap up. It'll buy us 10 minutes." They covered themselves and moved downhill, staying low, using the terrain for concealment. Anna's mind worked through the logistics. Vaughn had resources. Manpower. Surveillance. She'd know they escaped, would adjust, send more shooters, or call in an airstrike. Either way, running wasn't a solution. It was a delay. "We need leverage," Anna said. "Against Vaughn? She's untouchable." "No one's untouchable. She's killing people to protect Cardinal, which means there's evidence. Something that proves what she did." Hale stopped walking, turned. "There is, but it's locked in a classified server, encrypted, biometric access only." "Whose biometrics?" "Cardinal's lead operative, Captain Dylan Shaw." Anna's pulse quickened. "Shaw's alive." "I think so. And I think Vaughn's been hunting him just as hard as she's been hunting us. Because if Shaw talks, if he provides access to those files, Vaughn goes to prison for the rest of her life." Anna thought back to the message she'd received. The photograph. The warning. "Shaw sent me that picture. He's trying to expose her. Or he's trying to stay alive long enough to cut a deal." "Where is he?" Hill pulled out a battered notebook, flipped through pages of handwritten notes. "Last intel I had put him in Vancouver, operating under an alias. But that was 3 days ago. He could be anywhere by now." Anna grabbed the notebook, scanned the entries, locations, dates, contacts. Hale had been tracking Shaw for weeks. "You were going after him." "I was going to bring him in, offer him protection in exchange for testimony. But then Vaughn's people found me first." Hale took the notebook back. "If we want to stop her, we need Shaw, and we need those files. Then we go to Vancouver." "It's a trap, Anna. Vaughn knows we'll go after Shaw. She'll be waiting." "Good. Let her wait." They kept moving. Reached a dirt road an hour later. Hale had a vehicle stashed in a barn 2 miles east, a nondescript sedan with clean plates and a trunk full of weapons. They drove through the night, staying off main highways, using back roads. Anna sat in the passenger seat, her rifle across her lap, watching the darkness slide past. Her mind kept circling back to Walker. He was out there somewhere, running his own operation, 1 step ahead of Vaughn. Or so he thought. But Vaughn was smart, patient. She'd let him run, let him think he was safe, then close the trap. "We need to warn Walker," Anna said. Hale shook his head. "Viper protocol means total blackout. No comms, no contact. If he triggered it, he's gone dark until he completes his objective." "What objective?" "Survival. That's the only objective that matters when you're burned." Anna pulled out her personal phone, the one Porter had been calling. It was off. She powered it on, waited for it to boot. 12 missed calls, 6 voicemails. All from Porter. She played the first one. Porter's voice, tight with urgency. "Anna, where are you? Darnell's got federal agents crawling all over the hospital. They're saying you're a fugitive. They've frozen your accounts. Issued a warrant. Call me back. The second message was worse. Anna, they're saying you attacked Hale, that you're working with a foreign intelligence service. This is bad, really bad. You need to turn yourself in before this gets worse. Anna deleted the messages, turned the phone off. Hale glanced at her. Vaughn spinning a narrative, making you the villain. She's good at that. She's had practice. They drove in silence for another hour, then stopped at a rest area to refuel and switch drivers. Anna took the wheel. Hale pulled out a laptop connected to a secure network using a satellite uplink. I'm checking Shaw's last known locations. See if there's a pattern. Anna watched the road. Watched the mirrors. Every vehicle that passed could be a threat. Every exit could be an ambush. This was how it felt to be hunted. Exposed. Vulnerable. She'd spent 5 years avoiding this exact situation, and now she was driving straight into it. Got something, Hale said. Shaw used a credit card 2 days ago, gas station outside Seattle. He's moving south. Toward us. Or away from Vaughn. Anna's phone buzzed. She'd turned it back on to check for updates. A text from an unknown number, just 2 words. Trust no one. She showed it to Hale. He frowned. Could be Shaw. Could be Vaughn. Or someone else entirely. Anna pulled back onto the highway. They reached the outskirts of Seattle by dawn. The city was waking up. Traffic building, people heading to work, oblivious to the war being fought in the shadows. Hale directed Anna to a motel on the edge of the industrial district. Cheap, cash only. No questions. They checked in under fake names, paid for 3 days up front. The room was small, 2 beds, a bathroom that smelled like mildew. Anna locked the door, checked the window. Fire escape accessible. Anna stared at the photograph. The woman's face was younger, but the eyes were unmistakable. Cold. Calculating. The same eyes that had looked at her in the SUV 2 hours ago. She felt the ground shift beneath her feet, but her voice stayed level. You're telling me Vaughn ran Cardinal? Hale nodded. She built it from the ground up, sold it to Command as an intelligence asset, turned it into a torture program. He tapped the folder. That woman interrogated prisoners without oversight, without laws. And when people started asking questions, she buried them, literally. Anna flipped through the documents, transcripts, medical reports, death certificates signed by doctors who didn't exist. Her hands didn't shake, but her pulse hammered in her ears. Firebase Viper wasn't about extraction. It was about elimination. Exactly. Vaughn knew an inspector general was coming. She needed Cardinal erased, so she staged an attack, burned the evidence, and blamed insurgents. Hale's jaw tightened. 12 people died covering her tracks, and she would have gotten away with it if you and Walker hadn't survived. Anna closed the folder. Her mind was already 3 moves ahead. She sent me here to kill you. I know. And you let me in anyway. Hale smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Because you didn't pull the trigger. That tells me something. He walked to the window, peered through the gap in the curtains. We don't have much time. Vaughn knows where I am. She's probably tracking you right now. Anna pulled out the encrypted phone Vaughn had given her, turned it over in her hands. She said to check in every 6 hours. Don't. The second you activate that thing, she'll have your location pinpointed within 30 seconds. Hale turned back to her. Destroy it. Anna crushed the phone under her boot. The screen splintered. She kicked the pieces into the corner. Now what? Now we go public. I have copies of everything. Financials, kill orders, recordings. Enough to bury her and everyone who protected her. He grabbed a backpack from under the desk, already packed. There's a journalist in Seattle, someone I trust. We get this to her. It's over. Vaughn won't let us get that far. I know. That's why we're not taking the easy route. Hale slung the pack over his shoulder and headed for the back door. Anna followed. Outside, the forest was darker than before. Clouds had rolled in, blocking the moon. Hale moved fast for a man his age, navigating the terrain like he'd memorized every route and rock. Anna stayed close, her weapon ready. They'd gone maybe half a mile when she heard it, the distant thrum of rotors, multiple birds, coming in low and fast. Hale cursed under his breath. They're early. How many? At least 2, maybe 3. He veered left, deeper into the trees. There's a riverbed a mile east. We can lose them there. They ran. The sound of helicopters grew louder, searchlights cutting through the canopy. Anna's lungs burned, but she kept pace. Branches whipped her face, her boots slipped on wet leaves. Behind them, voices shouted coordinates, dogs barked. Hale slid down an embankment, Anna right behind him. They hit the riverbed hard, boots splashing in shallow water. The current was weak, but the stones were slick. Hale pointed upstream. That way. Stay low. They moved along the water's edge, using the rocks for cover. The helicopters circled overhead, their lights sweeping back and forth. Anna pressed herself against a boulder, breathing hard. Hale crouched beside her. They've got thermal. I know. We're sitting ducks. Anna scanned the area. Across the river, a drainage tunnel cut into the hillside. Old, probably used for mining decades ago. There. Hale followed her gaze. That tunnel could be collapsed. Or it could be our only shot. He hesitated, then nodded. They waded across the river, the icy water soaking through their clothes. Anna reached the tunnel first, peered inside. Dark, narrow, but passable. She stepped in, Hale behind her. The temperature dropped immediately. The walls were damp, lined with moss. Water dripped from the ceiling. They moved deeper, using their hands to feel the way. Behind them, the sound of the helicopters faded, replaced by the echo of their own footsteps. After 50 yards, the tunnel opened into a larger chamber. Hale pulled out a flashlight, swept the beam across the space. Old mining equipment, rusted rails, a collapsed section in the back. Dead end, he muttered. Anna walked to the collapsed section, studied it. The rubble was loose. She could see gaps between the rocks. Not dead, just blocked. We don't have time to dig. We don't have a choice. They started moving rocks. Anna's hands were raw within minutes, her nails cracked and bleeding, but she kept going. Hale worked beside her, grunting with effort. The rocks shifted slowly. One scraped her knuckle, leaving a gash that bled freely. She ignored it, kept digging. Sweat mixed with the dampness on her face. Her shoulders screamed, but gradually the gap widened, enough for a person to squeeze through. Anna went first, pulling herself into the darkness on the other side. Her flashlight revealed another tunnel, this one sloping upward. The air smelled different here, less stale, almost fresh. Hale followed, breathing hard. His face was pale in the flashlight beam, but his eyes were still sharp. They climbed for what felt like hours. The air grew thinner. Anna's legs screamed, but she pushed through. Her boots found purchase on loose gravel, slipped twice, but she caught herself each time. Finally, the tunnel leveled out. Ahead, a faint glow. Daylight. They emerged onto a rocky hillside overlooking a valley. In the distance, the lights of a small town flickered. Dawn was breaking, painting the sky in shades of gray and pink. Hale checked his watch. 4 hours till full light. We can make it to the highway. Hitch a ride. Anna didn't answer. She was staring at the sky. 2 helicopters still circled the forest behind them, but a third was breaking off, heading their direction. They're not giving up. Hale followed her gaze. Damn it. They scrambled down the hillside, half running, half sliding. Loose rocks gave way beneath their boots. Anna caught herself on a scrub brush, kept moving. The helicopter closed in, its searchlight scanning the terrain. They hit flat ground and sprinted toward a cluster of abandoned buildings, an old logging camp, judging by the sawmill that dominated the site. They ducked inside just as the searchlight swept over them. The building was a skeleton, no roof, holes in the walls, rusted equipment scattered across the floor. Anna and Hale pressed against the far wall, barely breathing. The helicopter hovered overhead. The searchlight cut through the gaps in the walls, illuminating dust and debris. Anna's hand tightened on her weapon. If they came down, this was a kill box. No cover, no escape. But after a long minute, the helicopter banked away, resuming its search pattern. Hale exhaled slowly. That was close. Too close. Anna moved to the window, watched the helicopter disappear over the ridge. Vaughn's throwing everything at us, which means she's desperate. Or confident. Hale pulled out a sat phone from his pack. I need to make a call. To who? Someone who can help, someone Vaughn doesn't own. He dialed, waited. The connection was scratchy, filled with static. After 3 rings, a voice answered. Anna couldn't hear the words, but Hale's expression tightened. It's me. I need extraction. 2 people. Current location? He rattled off coordinates. A pause. No, I can't wait. She's got birds in the air. Another pause. Longer this time. Understood. 30 minutes. He hung up. Anna watched him carefully. Who was that? A friend. That's all you need to know. If you're walking me into another trap, I'm not. Hale met her eyes. You saved Walker's life. That means something to people like me. I'm not handing you over. Anna wanted to believe him, but trust was a luxury she couldn't afford. Not anymore. Not after everything. They waited in silence, watching the sky. The sun climbed higher. Birds began to sing. The world looked peaceful, almost normal. But Anna knew better. Peace was an illusion. 20 minutes passed, then 30. Anna was about to ask Hale what the hell was going on when she heard it. A vehicle. Coming fast. She moved to the window. A black SUV, unmarked, tearing down the dirt road toward the camp. It skidded to a stop outside, dust billowing around it. The driver's door opened. Porter stepped out. Anna's breath caught. She lowered her weapon but didn't holster it. Porter looked up at the building, his face hard. Anna, we need to move. Now. She stepped outside, Hale behind her. How did you find us? Hale called me. Said you were in trouble. Porter glanced at the general. Good to see you, sir. Sergeant? Hale climbed into the back seat. Anna hesitated. How do I know you're not working for Vaughn? Porter's expression didn't change. You don't, but if I was, you'd already be dead. He had a point. Anna got in. Porter hit the gas and they tore out of the camp, heading south. The SUV handled the rough road badly, bouncing over ruts and potholes. Anna gripped the door handle. Where are we going? Anna asked. Blackridge, Walker's awake. He's asking for you. Anna's pulse quickened. Is he stable? For now. But there's something you need to see. Porter handed her a tablet without taking his eyes off the road. This came through an hour ago. Military intelligence intercepted it. Anna took the tablet. On the screen, a video file. She pressed play. The footage was grainy, shot from a security camera. It showed a hallway. A figure in tactical gear walking toward a room. The timestamp read 3 days ago. The figure stopped outside a door, checked the number, and entered. The camera switched to an interior view. The room was small, sparse. A man sat at a desk, his back to the camera. The figure raised a suppressed pistol and fired twice. The man slumped forward. The figure turned toward the camera for just a moment, and Anna's blood turned to ice. The face was partially obscured by a balaclava, but the eyes were visible. She knew those eyes. She'd stared into them 2 hours ago. Colonel Iris Vaughn. She killed him, Anna said quietly. General Marcus Reed, Porter confirmed, head of internal investigations. He was looking into Cardinal. Vaughn found out and erased him. Hale leaned forward from the back seat. Reed was a friend, a good man, honest, one of the few left. She didn't even hesitate. Anna replayed the video, watched Vaughn pull the trigger without flinching. No emotion, no hesitation, just cold execution, like turning off a light. This is enough to arrest her. It would be, Porter said. Except Vaughn disappeared 6 hours ago. Pulled all her files, wiped her digital footprint, and vanished. Command thinks she's gone dark. She's not gone, Hale said. She's cleaning house, and we're at the top of her list. They drove in silence for a while. Anna stared out the window, her mind turning over the pieces. Vaughn had built an empire on lies and bodies. She'd manipulated command, erased evidence, and murdered anyone who got close to the truth. But she'd made one mistake. She'd underestimated the people she'd left for dead. Anna looked at Hale. You said you have recordings. Play one. Hale pulled out a small recorder from his pack, pressed play. Vaughn's voice filled the SUV, cold and clinical. Subject 47 showed resistance to enhanced interrogation. Recommendation: escalate to Phase 3 protocols. If non-responsive, terminate and dispose. A pause. Then another voice, younger, pleading. Please, I don't know anything. I swear. The recording cut off with a sound that made Anna's stomach turn. How many recordings do you have? 43. All dated, all authenticated, and all of them prove Vaughn ran Cardinal as a kill program, not an intelligence operation. Then why didn't you go public years ago? Hale's expression darkened. Because I didn't have proof she'd ordered the Viper attack. I had suspicions, theories, but nothing concrete. Until 3 weeks ago, when Dylan Shaw contacted me. Anna's head snaps toward him. Dylan Shaw is alive? Was. Someone put a bullet in him 2 days after he reached out. Made it look like a mugging, but before he died, he sent me this. Hale pulled out a flash drive. Video confession. He admits he flew the extraction at Viper under Vaughn's orders, admits he left soldiers behind, and he names everyone involved. Porter's hands tightened on the wheel. That's a kill shot. With that confession, Vaughn's done. If we can get it into the right hands, Hale said. That's why we're going to Black Ridge. Walker has contacts at the Pentagon. People Vaughn doesn't control. People who can't be bought or threatened. We give them the drive, and she's finished. Anna took the flash drive, turned it over in her hands. Such a small thing. No bigger than her thumb. And yet it held the power to destroy an empire built on decades of manipulation and murder. She'll come for us. I'm counting on it, Hale said. They reached Black Ridge just before dawn. The hospital was on lockdown. Military police at every entrance. Checkpoints on every floor. Porter flashed his credentials and they waved him through. He parked in the underground garage and they took a service elevator to the ICU. The hallways were quieter than Anna had ever seen them. Tense. Waiting. Walker's room was at the end of the hall, flanked by 2 armed guards. They stepped aside when they saw Hale. Inside, Walker sat propped up in bed, an IV in his arm, but his eyes were sharp. Alert. When he saw Anna, he smiled. Took you long enough. Anna crossed the room, pulled up a chair. You look like hell. You should see the other guy. Walker's smile faded when he saw Hale. General? Didn't think I'd see you again. Neither did I. Hale handed him the flash drive. Dylan Shaw's confession. Everything we need to bury Vaughn. Walker took the drive, studied it. Shaw's dead? 2 days ago. Prague. Single gunshot to the head. Damn. Walker looked at Anna. You know what this means, right? The second we release this, Vaughn's going to come at us with everything she has. No rules. No limits. Let her, Anna said. I'm done running. Walker's expression shifted. Something like pride. Good, because I've got a plan. He gestured to Porter. Lock the door. Porter did. Walker leaned forward, lowering his voice. I've been in contact with the deputy director at the Defense Intelligence Agency. Someone I trust. Someone I served with 20 years ago. She's willing to take the confession and move on it immediately, but she needs us to testify, all of us, on the record. When? Hale asked. Tomorrow. 1000 hours. Pentagon. Walker looked at each of them. This is it. We go on the record, tell the truth, and watch Vaughn's world burn. Anna felt the weight of it settle over her. 5 years of hiding, 5 years of silence. And now, the chance to finally speak. I'm in. Hale nodded. So am I. Porter crossed his arms. I'll make sure you get there alive. Walker smiled. Then it's decided. He pressed the call button. A nurse appeared. Get me a secure line to the Pentagon. Priority Alpha. The nurse hesitated. Sir, I'll need authorization. You're looking at it. Move. The nurse hurried out. Walker looked at Anna. You did good, bringing Hale in, keeping him alive. I didn't do it for you. I know. You did it because it was right. Walker's smile softened. That's why I trust you. Anna didn't know what to say to that, so she just nodded. The secure line came through 10 minutes later. Walker spoke in clipped sentences, confirming details, setting the meeting. When he hung up, his expression was grim. It's official. Tomorrow, we end this. They spent the rest of the day preparing. Anna gave her statement to a military lawyer, a sharp woman in her 40s who asked precise questions and took meticulous notes. Anna recounted every detail of Firebase Viper. The collapse, the 16 hours under fire, the photograph. Hale did the same in an adjacent room. Porter coordinated security for the trip to D.C., mapping routes, arranging backup vehicles, calling in favors. And Walker, despite the doctor's protests, discharged himself and started planning their route. By evening, the pieces were in place. They'd leave at 0400, travel in an armed convoy, and arrive at the Pentagon by 0900. Plenty of time, plenty of protection. Anna tried to sleep, but her mind wouldn't stop. She kept replaying the video of Vaughn, the cold efficiency, the lack of hesitation. This was a woman who'd built her career on elimination, and tomorrow Anna was going to destroy it. At 0300, her phone buzzed. Not the encrypted one, she'd destroyed that. Her personal phone, a text from an unknown number. She opened it. "You think you've won. You haven't. See you tomorrow." Anna stared at the message. Then she forwarded it to Porter, Hale, and Walker. Within minutes, all three responded. Porter, "Tighten security." Hale, "Expected. Stay sharp." Walker, "Let her come." Anna deleted the message and got dressed. She met the others in the underground garage at 0350. 3 armored SUVs, 12 soldiers, enough firepower to stop a small army. Porter took point. Anna, Hale, and Walker rode in the center vehicle. The convoy pulled out into the dark, heading south toward the highway. The roads were empty. The city still asleep. Anna watched the buildings slide past, her hand resting on her sidearm. The weight was comforting, familiar. They merged onto the interstate, headlights cutting through the darkness. The convoy maintained perfect spacing, professional, disciplined. They were 20 miles out when the first vehicle exploded. The lead SUV erupted in a fireball, flipping end over end before slamming into the guardrail. The sound was deafening. Porter slammed the brakes, and their vehicle skidded sideways. Anna's head cracked against the window, her vision blurring. Stars danced across her sight. "Contact!" someone shouted. Gunfire erupted from the tree line. Bullets punched through the windshield. The driver slumped forward, dead. Porter grabbed the wheel, steered them into a ditch. The third SUV tried to reverse, but took an RPG to the side. It disintegrated in a ball of flame. Anna kicked open the door, dragged Walker out. Hale followed, moving fast despite his age. They scrambled into the trees as rounds chewed up the ground around them. Porter laid down covering fire, his rifle barking in controlled bursts. "How many?" Anna shouted. "At least 12. Professional. Well-equipped." Porter dropped an empty mag, reloaded. "This is a kill squad." Anna pulled Walker behind a fallen log. The commander was bleeding from a head wound, but his eyes were focused. "We need to move, now." "Where?" Hale panted. "They've got us surrounded." Anna scanned the area. A service road cut through the trees 50 yards east. If they could reach it, they had a chance. "There, go." They ran. Bullets tore through the branches above them. One of the soldiers behind them screamed and went down. Anna didn't stop, didn't look back. She hit the service road and kept sprinting, Hale and Walker right behind her. Porter brought up the rear, firing as he moved. A vehicle roared to life ahead of them. Anna's heart sank. But it wasn't hostile. A civilian truck, old and battered, driven by a man in his 60s. He leaned out the window. "Get in." Anna didn't ask questions. She shoved Walker into the bed, helped Hale up, and climbed in herself. Porter dove in last and the truck peeled out, tires screaming. Gunfire chased them, but the distance grew. After 2 miles, the shooting stopped. Anna sat up, breathing hard. The driver glanced back through the rear window. "You folks okay?" "Who are you?" Anna asked. The man smiled. It was a kind smile, familiar. "Name's Thomas. I got a call from a friend. Said some people might need help." He handed back a phone. On the screen, a text from Walker sent 12 hours ago. "If things go wrong, be ready." Anna looked at Walker. "You planned this?" "I planned for contingencies." Walker wiped blood from his face. "Vaughn's predictable. She'd hit us on the road, so I arranged backup." Thomas drove them to a small airfield 30 miles south. A private jet waited on the tarmac, engines already running. They boarded without a word. The jet took off within minutes, climbing fast into the dawn sky. Anna sat by the window, watching the ground fall away. Her hands were shaking now, the adrenaline wearing off. Hale sat across from her, his face pale. "That was too close." "That was a message," Walker said. "Vaughn's desperate, which means we're winning." The jet leveled out. A flight attendant brought water. Anna drank, her throat raw. Porter sat near the cockpit, coordinating with the Pentagon. After an hour, he came back. "We're cleared to land at Andrews. DIA is sending a team to meet us. Full protection." Walker nodded. "Good. We're almost there." Anna closed her eyes, but she couldn't relax, because Vaughn's message kept echoing in her head. You think you've won. You haven't. What did that mean? What was she missing? The answer came 2 hours later. They landed at Andrews Air Force Base. The DIA team was waiting, 6 agents in suits, armed and professional. They escorted Anna, Walker, and Hale into a secure building. Porter stayed with the plane, coordinating with base security. Inside, the deputy director waited. A woman in her 50s, sharp-eyed and no nonsense. Commander Walker, General Hale, Ms. Hayes, I'm Deputy Director Karen Mills. Thank you for coming. Walker handed her the flash drive. Everything you need is on there. Confessions, recordings, evidence. Mills took the drive, passed it to a tech. We'll verify it immediately. In the meantime, I need your statements. They were led into separate rooms. Anna's interrogation lasted 3 hours. She recounted Viper, the collapse, the photograph, the ambush, every detail. The agents took notes, asked clarifying questions, but didn't challenge her. When it was over, Mills came in personally. Your story checks out, so does Hale's and Walker's. The evidence is solid. Anna exhaled slowly. So it's over? Mills hesitated. Almost. We've issued a warrant for Colonel Vaughn. Every law enforcement agency in the country is looking for her. But what? She has resources, safe houses, offshore accounts, people loyal to her. It could take weeks to find her. Anna's jaw tightened. You're saying she might get away. I'm saying she's a professional, and professionals know how to disappear. Mills leaned forward. But here's the thing. Vaughn's world is collapsing. Her command's been stripped, her assets frozen, her allies are turning. Even if she runs, she'll never have power again. That's a different kind of justice. Anna wanted to argue, wanted to demand more. But Mills was right. Vaughn's empire was ash. And sometimes that was enough. Almost. Mills stood. You're free to go. We'll be in touch if we need additional testimony. Until then, you're under protection. DIA will assign a detail. I don't need protection. With respect, Ms. Hayes, you do. Until Vaughn's in custody, you're still a target. Anna opened her mouth to argue, but Mills cut her off. This isn't optional. Anna left the room, found Walker and Hale in the hallway. They looked as exhausted as she felt. It's done, Walker said. For now, Hale added. But Mills is right. Vaughn's still out there. Anna didn't answer, because something was nagging at her, something Mills had said. Even if she runs, she'll never have power again. Power. That was the key. Vaughn didn't care about money or freedom. She cared about control, about being untouchable, and losing that would eat her alive, which meant she wouldn't run. She'd fight. Anna's phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. She opened it, a photograph, taken from a distance. It showed Anna, Walker, and Hale standing in the Pentagon hallway, taken 5 minutes ago. Underneath, 4 words. I'm already inside. Anna's blood went cold. She looked up, scanned the hallway. Agents, security, no one out of place. But Vaughn had been here, was still here. We need to move, Anna said quietly. Walker caught the tone. What's wrong? Anna showed him the phone. His face went white. Mills, now. They found Mills in her office. Anna showed her the message. Mills grabbed her radio immediately. Lockdown, full sweep, possible hostile in the building. Alarms blared. Agents flooded the hallways. But Anna knew it was too late. Vaughn wasn't here to kill them. She was here to send a message. And she'd already sent it. The sweep came back clean, no sign of Vaughn. But in Mills's office, they found something, a folder on her desk. It hadn't been there 20 minutes ago. Inside, a single photograph, the same one from Kandahar, Anna in the rubble. But this time, there was writing on the back. You survived once. Let's see if you can do it twice. Anna flipped the photo over again, stared at her own face, covered in dust and blood. And then she saw it, something she'd missed before. In the background, partially obscured by smoke, was a figure, just a silhouette. But the posture was wrong. Too relaxed, too deliberate. Someone had been watching when that photo was taken. Someone who'd known exactly where to stand to stay out of frame. Someone who'd orchestrated the whole thing. Anna's phone buzzed again. Another message. This time, a video file. She pressed play. The footage was grainy, shot from a helmet cam. It showed the interior of Firebase Viper during the siege. Explosions, gunfire, bodies. And then the camera turned, focused on a figure moving through the chaos with deliberate calm. Vaughn. She was there, at Viper, not coordinating from a distance. There, on the ground. The video cut to another angle. Vaughn speaking into a radio. Cardinal is secure. Initiate collapse sequence. Anna's stomach dropped. Collapse sequence. Vaughn hadn't just abandoned them. She'd triggered the building collapse herself, killed her own people to cover her tracks. The video continued. Vaughn climbing into a helicopter, looking back at the burning compound, and smiling. The file ended. Anna looked up at Walker. His face had gone gray. She was there, he said quietly. The whole time. And she watched us die. Not all of us, Hale said. You two survived. And that's the problem. Mills took the phone, reviewed the video. Her expression hardened. This changes everything. If Vaughn was on the ground at Viper, she's not just guilty of ordering the attack. She's guilty of executing it. That's first-degree murder. Multiple counts. It's also proof she's unhinged, Porter said. He'd appeared in the doorway. Someone that deep in their own operation doesn't come back. They double down. Anna's mind raced. She's not running. She's setting a trap. For who? Mills asked. For us. She wants us to think we've won. Wants us to let our guard down. And then an explosion rocked the building. The lights flickered. Alarms screamed. Mills grabbed her radio. Report. Static. Then, car bomb. Underground garage. Multiple casualties. Anna was already moving. She ran to the window, looked down. Smoke billowed from the garage entrance. Emergency personnel rushed toward it. And in the chaos, she saw her. Vaughn. Walking away from the building. Calm. Unhurried. She looked up directly at Anna's window and smiled. Then she disappeared into the crowd. Anna turned to Mills. She just declared war. Mills' expression was stone. Then let's give her one. Within 30 seconds, the Pentagon became a fortress. Every exit sealed, every corridor locked down. Armed personnel flooded the building, faces tight with controlled urgency. Mills barked orders into her radio, coordinating the response with surgical precision. But Anna wasn't listening. She was staring at the spot where Vaughn had disappeared into the crowd, her mind already calculating angles. She's not running, Anna said. She wants us to chase her. Walker limped to the window, still favoring his injured leg. Then we don't. We lock down, wait for... No. Anna turned to face him. She just bombed a federal building, killed how many people to prove a point. If we wait, she hits again, harder. Mills lowered her radio. Ms. Hayes is right. Vaughn's not finished. That explosion was a distraction. She looked at her tech. Pull up every camera feed within a 2-mile radius. I want eyes on every street, every alley. The tech's fingers flew across the keyboard. Multiple screens lit up with surveillance footage. Anna moved closer, scanning each feed. Crowd dispersal, emergency vehicles, people running in panic. And then, there. A woman in a dark coat moving against the flow of the crowd. Walking, not running, confident. Southeast corner, blue sedan. Anna pointed. That's her. Mills zoomed in. The image was grainy, but the profile was unmistakable. Vaughn climbed into the driver's seat, pulled into traffic, and disappeared around a corner. Track that vehicle, Mills ordered. I want every traffic cam from here to the Maryland border. Porter stepped forward. She's heading for an exit point, probably has a plane waiting. Or she's leading us somewhere, Hale said quietly. He'd been silent until now, his face drawn. Vaughn doesn't run. She orchestrates. Anna felt it too. That wrongness in her gut. The same instinct that had saved Walker's life. She wants us to follow. Then we don't give her what she wants, Mills said. We set up checkpoints, establish a perimeter. By the time you do that, she'll be gone. Anna turned to Mills. Give me a team, small, mobile. We can move faster than your protocols. Mills studied her. You're not law enforcement. You're a witness. I'm someone who knows how she thinks, how she operates. Anna's voice hardened. And I'm someone she underestimated. Let me finish this. The room went quiet. Mills glanced at Walker. He nodded once. Mills exhaled. Fine. But you take Porter and a tactical unit. 4 operators. Rules of engagement are clear. Vaughn is armed and extremely dangerous. Lethal force is authorized. Anna grabbed her jacket. We leave now. 5 minutes later, Anna was in an unmarked SUV with Porter behind the wheel and 4 special operations soldiers in tactical gear crammed in the back. The vehicle tore out of the Pentagon complex, lights off, moving fast through D.C. traffic. Porter had a tablet mounted on the dashboard, showing Vaughn's last known location. She ditched the sedan 2 miles east, one of the operators said. His name was Kowalski, a barrel-chested man with a Brooklyn accent. Switched to a motorcycle, heading toward the warehouse district. Anna studied the map. The warehouse district was a maze of abandoned buildings and dead-end streets. Perfect for an ambush. She's setting the field. Then we change the game, Porter said. He took a hard right, cutting through an alley, trash cans scattered. There's a service road that runs parallel. We can cut her off. They drove in tense silence. Anna checked her weapon, loaded, ready. Her hands were steady now. The fear had burned away, replaced by something colder, clearer. She'd been running from Vaughn's shadow for 5 years. Not anymore. The warehouse district emerged ahead, hulking concrete structures with broken windows and rusted gates. Porter slowed, killed the headlights. Last ping was 3 blocks north. Motion sensors picked up activity in Building 7. Anna scanned the area. Building 7 was the largest structure, 4 stories of decaying industrial space. Multiple entry points, too many angles. She's inside. Could be a trap, one of the operators said. It is a trap, Anna replied. But we're going in anyway. They parked a block away and moved on foot. The streets were empty, littered with debris and abandoned equipment. Graffiti covered every surface. Anna led the team to the south entrance. The door hung off its hinges. Inside, darkness. Porter pulled out a flashlight, swept the beam across the interior. Empty conveyor belts, broken machinery. Graffiti on the walls spelling words Anna didn't bother reading. Anna signaled for silence. They moved deeper into the building, weapons raised. The air smelled like rust and mold. Somewhere above them, a pipe dripped water. The sound echoed through the cavernous space, making it impossible to pinpoint direction. They reached a stairwell. Anna started up, Porter right behind her. The operators fanned out, covering their flanks. 2nd floor. 3rd. Still nothing. And then Anna heard it. A voice. Female. Calm. You came. Anna froze. The voice was coming from speakers mounted in the ceiling. Vaughn's voice. I wasn't sure you would. Thought you might hide behind Mills and her bureaucrats. Anna didn't respond. She signaled the team to keep moving. 4th floor. The stairwell opened into a large open space, probably an old assembly floor. And in the center, illuminated by a single work light, stood Vaughn. She wasn't armed. Her hands were visible, relaxed at her sides. She looked calm, almost pleased. Anna Hayes, the nurse who wouldn't die. Anna raised her weapon. It's over, Vaughn. Is it? Vaughn smiled. You've got the confessions, the recordings. You think that's enough? It's enough to bury you. Maybe. But here's the thing. I've been buried before. Came back stronger. Vaughn took a step forward. Porter aimed his rifle at her chest. She didn't flinch. You want to know the real difference between us, Anna? You save people. I end problems. That's not a difference, Anna said. That's a sickness. Vaughn's smile faded. You survived Viper because of luck. I survived because I planned for every contingency, including this one. Anna's instincts screamed. Everyone down! The explosion came from below. The floor buckled. Anna grabbed onto a support beam as the world tilted. One of the operators, a young guy named Martinez, fell through the collapsing floor, disappearing into the darkness with a scream that cut off too quickly. Porter fired twice at Vaughn, but she'd already moved, disappearing behind a concrete pillar. Anna scrambled to her feet. Fall back! They retreated to the stairwell, but it was blocked. Rubble from the explosion had sealed it. Porter swore, looked around. Service ladder, northwest corner. They ran. Behind them, Vaughn's voice echoed through the speakers. You can't save everyone, Anna. You can't even save yourself. Anna ignored her, reached the ladder, started climbing down. Her hand slipped on the rusted metal, but she forced herself to keep moving. Porter followed. The remaining operators covered their descent. They hit the ground floor and sprinted for the exit. The building groaned around them, structural supports failing one by one. They burst out into the street just as the entire north wall collapsed inward. Dust and debris billowed out like a wave. Anna coughed, wiped her eyes, looked back at the building. No sign of Vaughn, no sign of Martinez. She's still inside, Porter said, or she found another exit. Anna's radio crackled. Mills's voice. We've got her. 2 blocks east. She's on foot. Anna ran. Porter and the 2 remaining operators followed. They rounded a corner and saw her, Vaughn, moving fast through an alley. Anna pushed harder, her lungs burning. Vaughn glanced back, saw them, and picked up speed. The alley opened into a parking lot. Vaughn headed for a chain-link fence, scaled it with practiced ease. Anna hit the fence seconds later, hauled herself up and over. Her boots hit pavement. Vaughn was 30 yards ahead, heading for a drainage canal. Anna closed the distance. 20 yards. 10. Vaughn spun, pulled a pistol from her waistband. Anna dove left as the shot rang out. The bullet sparked off concrete inches from her head. Anna rolled, came up firing. Vaughn dropped behind a dumpster. Porter arrived, took position behind a parked car. Vaughn, drop the weapon! Silence. Then Vaughn's voice, strained now. You don't understand what you're destroying. Cardinal wasn't just a program. It was necessary. Necessary? Anna shouted back. You tortured people, murdered them. I protected this country from threats you can't imagine. You protected yourself. Another shot, this one closer. Anna felt the heat of it pass her ear. She fired back, 3 controlled bursts. The dumpster rang like a bell. Porter flanked right, the operators going left. They had Vaughn boxed in. Last chance, Porter called out. Drop the weapon and come out. Vaughn laughed. It was a bitter sound, almost manic. You think I built Cardinal alone? You think I'm the only one who knew? There are others, powerful people, senators, generals, and they'll bury this before it ever sees daylight. Not if we testify, Anna said. Not if the evidence goes public. Evidence can disappear. Witnesses can too. Then you'll have to kill all of us, right now. Can you do that? Silence. Long enough that Anna wondered if Vaughn was planning her next move or accepting her fate. Then the woman stepped out from behind the dumpster. Her pistol was still in her hand, but lowered. Blood ran down her arm from a graze wound. You want me alive? Vaughn said. Because you think I'll talk. Give up names. Expose the network. You will, Anna said. Because you're not loyal to anyone but yourself. Vaughn's smile was cold. You're right. I'm not. She raised the pistol. Anna fired first. The shot took Vaughn in the shoulder. She spun, dropped to one knee. Porter rushed forward, kicked the weapon away. Vaughn gasped, clutching her shoulder. Blood seeped between her fingers. She looked up at Anna, and for the first time there was something other than control in her eyes. Fear. You don't get to walk away, Anna said quietly. Not this time. Porter cuffed Vaughn's hands behind her back. She winced, but didn't cry out. The operators secured the perimeter. Within minutes, DIA vehicles flooded the area. Mills stepped out of one, surveyed the scene, and nodded to Anna. Clean work. Anna didn't feel victorious, just tired. She said there are others, people who protected Cardinal. We'll find them, Mills said, starting with her. She gestured to 2 agents who hauled Vaughn to her feet. Vaughn's legs buckled, but she forced herself upright. She looked at Anna one last time. This doesn't end, Vaughn said. Even if I go down, the system stays. It always does. Anna stepped closer. Then I'll tear down the system too. Vaughn laughed, but there was no humor in it, just exhaustion. Good luck with that. They took her away. Anna watched the vehicle disappear, then turned to Porter. Is it really over? The shooting is. The rest? Porter shrugged. That's just starting. He was right. Over the next 72 hours, the story exploded. Dylan Shaw's confession went public. The recordings from Cardinal hit every major news outlet. Vaughn's arrest became front-page news. The Pentagon launched a full investigation. 3 high-ranking officers were implicated. 2 resigned. 1 was arrested. Anna, Walker, and Hale testified before a closed Senate committee. The sessions lasted 4 days. Anna told them everything. The torture, the murders, the systematic cover-up. The senators asked hard questions. Some were skeptical, some were outraged, but all of them listened. When she finished, the room was silent. One senator, an older woman with steel-gray hair, leaned forward. "Ms. Hayes, you've endured more than most soldiers ever will. What do you want from us?" Anna didn't hesitate. Accountability. Not just for Vaughn, for everyone who let this happen, everyone who looked the other way. "You'll have it," the senator said. "I give you my word." Anna wanted to believe her, but she'd heard promises before. Still, something had shifted. The truth was out. The lies were crumbling. That had to count for something. 2 weeks later, Anna returned to Blackridge Military Hospital. She walked through the doors expecting nothing to be different. But it was. Nurses nodded to her in the hallways. Doctors who'd ignored her for months now greeted her by name. And when she reached the emergency department, Dr. Grayson was waiting. He looked uncomfortable. "Hayes, can I talk to you?" Anna followed him to his office. He closed the door, gestured for her to sit. She stayed standing. Grayson rubbed the back of his neck. "I owe you an apology. A real one." "Okay." "I treated you like you were invisible, dismissed your insights, and I was wrong, completely wrong." He met her eyes. "You saved Walker's life. You exposed a conspiracy that went to the top. And I didn't see it because I was too arrogant to listen." Anna studied him, saw genuine regret there. "What do you want from me?" "Nothing. I just wanted you to know." Grayson paused. "Also, the board asked me to offer you a position. Lead trauma consultant. You'd have full authority to overrule attending physicians if you see something they're missing." Anna blinked. "You're serious?" "Completely. We need people who actually pay attention. You're the best I've seen." Anna thought about it. Power, recognition, everything she'd been denied. But as she stood there, she realized something. She didn't need Grayson's validation, didn't need the hospital's approval. She'd already proven what she was. "I appreciate the offer," Anna said, "but I'm declining." Grayson looked surprised. "Why?" "Because there are other places that need people like me more than this one does." She turned toward the door. "But I'll consult when you need me, on my terms." Grayson nodded slowly. "Fair enough." Anna left his office and walked through the hospital one last time. She stopped by the ICU. Walker was being discharged today, finally cleared for light duty. He saw her and grinned. "Heard you turned down Grayson's job." "News travels fast." "Always does." Walker stood, grabbed his jacket. "So what's next for you?" Anna had been asking herself the same question. For 5 years she'd been hiding, running, trying to disappear. But she wasn't that person anymore. "I'm going to start a training program for combat medics. Real training, not just the textbook stuff. I want to teach people what it actually takes to keep someone alive when everything's falling apart." Walker's expression softened. "That's a hell of a mission. Someone's got to do it. You need funding, connections? I know people." "I'll take you up on that," Anna smiled. "But first I need a vacation, a real one." Walker laughed. "You've earned it." They walked out together. Outside, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Porter was waiting by his truck. Hale stood beside him, looking older, but somehow lighter. "Figured you'd be here," Hale said. "Wanted to say goodbye properly." Anna shook his hand. "Where are you headed?" "Montana. Got a cabin out there. Quiet. No conspiracies." He smiled. "You ever need a place to disappear for a while? Doors open." "I might take you up on that." Hale nodded, climbed into Porter's truck. They drove off, leaving Anna and Walker standing in the parking lot. Walker turned to her. "You know what you did, right? You didn't just expose Vaughn. You changed the conversation, made people realize that the quiet ones, the ones they ignore, might be the most important people in the room." Anna looked down. "I just did what needed doing." "That's exactly my point." Walker squeezed her shoulder. Take care of yourself, Anna. You too, Commander. He walked to his car and drove away. Anna stood there for a moment, breathing in the cool evening air. Her phone buzzed. A text from Mills. Vaughn pleaded guilty to 12 counts. Life sentence. No parole. Thought you'd want to know. Anna stared at the message. Life sentence. It should have felt like victory, and maybe it did, a little. But mostly, it felt like the end of something heavy. She pocketed the phone and started walking. 3 months later, Anna stood in front of a small training facility just outside Fort Bragg. The building was modest, 2 classrooms, a simulation lab, and a field training area. The sign above the door read, Shadow Project, Advanced Combat Medical Training. 15 students stood in formation, waiting. They were young, eager, a little scared. Anna recognized that look. She'd worn it once. She walked to the front, looked each of them in the eye. My name is Anna Hayes. Some of you have heard the stories. Some of them are true. Most aren't. But here's what matters. I'm going to teach you how to save lives when everything around you is trying to end them. I'm going to push you harder than you've ever been pushed, and some of you won't make it through. She paused. But the ones who do, you'll be ready for anything. One of the students raised a hand, a young woman, maybe 22. Ma'am, is it true you brought someone back after they flatlined? Anna smiled slightly. Yes, but not because I'm special. Because I listened when everyone else had given up. She looked at the group. That's what I'm teaching you, how to listen, how to see what others miss, how to be the person who doesn't quit. The students straightened. Anna saw the shift in their eyes, the moment they stopped seeing her as a story and started seeing her as a teacher. Let's get to work, Anna said. They trained for 6 months. Anna taught them field medicine, trauma response, decision-making under fire. She brought in guest instructors, combat veterans, paramedics, surgeons who'd worked in war zones. She created scenarios that pushed the students to their limits, simulated ambushes, mass casualty events, patients who screamed and bled and begged. Some students broke down, some quit, but the ones who stayed emerged transformed. Anna didn't coddle them. When they made mistakes, she called them out. When they hesitated, she pushed them harder, but she also celebrated their victories. The first time a student successfully performed a field tracheotomy on a mannequin, Anna nodded once and said, "That'll do." It was the highest praise any of them received, and they worked twice as hard for it. On graduation day, all 15 students stood on the parade ground in full-dress uniform. Walker attended as a guest speaker. So did Mills. Even Hale drove down from Montana. Anna stood off to the side, watching as Walker handed out certificates. These men and women, Walker said, his voice carrying across the field, represent the future of combat medicine. They've been trained by someone who's seen the worst war has to offer and refused to let it break her. They carry her legacy forward, and that legacy is simple. Never give up. Never stop fighting for the person in front of you. When it was over, the students dispersed, their families surrounding them. One of them, the young woman who'd asked the question on the first day, approached Anna. Her name was Daniels. "Ma'am, I just wanted to say thank you. You changed my life." Anna shook her hand. "You did that. I just showed you the path." Daniels smiled and walked away. Walker came over, hands in his pockets. "You did good, Anna. Really good. They did the work. But you gave them the chance." Walker looked at the facility. "You're building something here, something that'll outlast all of us." Anna nodded. She felt it too. This wasn't just a training program, it was a legacy. Proof that the people society overlooked, the quiet ones, the underestimated ones, could change the world if someone just gave them the tools. 6 months after that, Anna received a letter. It was from the Senate committee. Inside was a commendation for her testimony and her service. But more importantly, there was a note from the senator she'd spoken to. "Ms. Hayes, because of your courage, we've passed legislation requiring independent oversight of all classified interrogation programs. Cardinal can never happen again. You did that. Thank you." Anna read the letter twice. Then she folded it carefully and put it in a drawer. She didn't need recognition, didn't need medals or commendations. But knowing that her voice had mattered, that the truth she'd fought for had created real change, that was enough. 1 year after Vaughn's arrest, Anna stood in the cafeteria at Blackridge Military Hospital. She was there to give a lecture on field trauma response. The room was packed. Nurses, residents, attending physicians. Even Grayson was there, sitting in the back. Anna stepped up to the podium, looked out at the crowd. A year ago, these same people had ignored her, dismissed her, treated her like furniture. Now they were here to learn from her. She didn't gloat, didn't rub it in. She just started teaching. Emergency medicine isn't about protocols, Anna began. It's about people. And the best doctors, the best nurses. They're the ones who remember that when the machines are screaming and the patient is dying, there's a human being in that bed who deserves every chance. She spoke for an hour, shared stories from Viper, from the ambush, from her time at Blackridge. She talked about the mistakes she'd made, the times she'd doubted herself, the moments she'd almost quit. She didn't sugarcoat anything, didn't make herself a hero. "I'm not special," she said. "I'm just someone who refused to stay silent, who refused to accept that being ignored meant being powerless. And that's what I want you to take away from this. Your voice matters. Your observations matter. Especially if you're the only one in the room who sees what's really happening." When she finished, the room erupted in applause. Anna stepped down from the podium. Maria, the veteran ICU nurse who'd warned her about Grayson on her first day, was waiting. "That was incredible," Maria said. "Just the truth. The truth people needed to hear." Maria smiled. "You know what you did, right? You made us all better, made us think twice before dismissing someone." Anna didn't know what to say to that, so she just nodded. But as she left the hospital that evening, she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Pride. Not in herself necessarily, but in what she'd built, in the ripples spreading outward from one decision to speak up. She drove back to her apartment. It was small, quiet, exactly what she needed. She made dinner, poured a glass of wine, and sat by the window. Outside, the city glowed in the twilight. Her phone buzzed, a text from Walker. "Heard the lecture went well. Proud of you." Anna smiled, typed back. "Thanks. Couldn't have done it without you." Another text came in, from Porter. "Training program's getting requests from 3 other bases. You're officially in demand." Anna stared at the message. Demand. Recognition. Success. Everything she'd never asked for but somehow earned anyway. She thought about the journey, the years of being invisible, the moment she'd decided to speak up, even when no one was listening, the fight to expose the truth, the cost, the risk. It had been worth it. Not because she'd won recognition, not because she'd defeated Vaughn, but because she'd proven to herself and to the world that the quiet ones, the overlooked ones, the underestimated ones had power. Real power. The kind that didn't come from rank or authority or fear. It came from truth, from courage, from refusing to be silent. A knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. Anna set down her wine and walked over. Through the peephole, she saw a young man in a military uniform. She opened the door. "Miss Hayes?" he said. "Yes?" "I'm Lieutenant Marcus Reed. My father was General Marcus Reed." Anna's breath caught. The man Vaughn had murdered. "I'm sorry for your loss." "Thank you." Reed held out an envelope. "My father left this for you, in case anything happened to him. His lawyer just found it." Anna took the envelope. Reed nodded once and left. Anna closed the door, turned the envelope over in her hands. Her name was written on the front in neat handwriting. She opened it carefully. Inside was a letter. "Miss Hayes, if you're reading this, I'm gone. Probably killed by the same people I was investigating, but I wanted you to know something. Your testimony at the committee hearing changed everything. It gave me the ammunition I needed to push back against Cardinal, to demand answers. I know it cost you. I know you risked everything, but you need to know it wasn't for nothing. You started something that can't be stopped. Thank you. And keep fighting. Emster." Anna read the letter 3 times. Then she folded it carefully and placed it next to the commendation in her drawer. General Reed had died because he'd listened to her, had believed her, had acted on the truth she'd exposed. His death wasn't her fault, but it was her responsibility to make sure it meant something. She returned to the window, pulled out her phone, opened a new message to Mills. I want to expand the training program. National scale, every base, every branch. Combat medics who know how to think, not just follow orders. The response came back within minutes. I'll set up a meeting with the Joint Chiefs. Get some sleep, Hayes. You've earned it. Anna smiled, set down the phone. But she didn't sleep. Not yet. She sat by the window watching the city, thinking about Martinez, the operator who'd died in the warehouse, thinking about the soldiers at Viper, thinking about all the people who'd been lost because someone in power decided they were acceptable losses. She couldn't bring them back, but she could make sure their deaths weren't repeated, that the next generation of medics would be better prepared, better trained, better equipped to save lives that the system had written off. 2 years later, the Shadow Project had expanded to 12 bases across the country. Anna oversaw the curriculum, trained the instructors, and personally evaluated every graduating class. The program had a 92% success rate in the field. Medics trained under Anna's system were saving lives at rates no one had thought possible. She received awards, commendations, invitations to speak at conferences around the world. She accepted some, declined most, because the work mattered more than the recognition. One afternoon, Anna was at the Fort Bragg facility when a car pulled up. A woman in her 70s stepped out, leaning heavily on a cane. Anna didn't recognize her at first, but when the woman smiled, something clicked. "Lieutenant Shaw?" Anna said. Rebecca Shaw, the pilot from Viper, nodded. "Retired now. But I heard what you're doing. Wanted to see it for myself." They walked the facility together. Shaw watched the students run drills, listened to Anna explain the training philosophy, asked sharp questions. When they finished, Shaw turned to Anna. "My brother died because of what happened at Viper. Because of Vaughn. For years I blamed myself. Thought if I'd refused the order, if I'd stayed..." She trailed off. "But you didn't blame yourself. You fought back, and now you're making sure it never happens again." Anna didn't know what to say. Shaw continued. "That takes strength. Real strength, the kind most people don't have." "Thank you." She left. Anna stood there for a long time, thinking about strength, about what it meant. She'd always thought strength was about endurance, about surviving. But maybe it was something else. Maybe it was about choosing to build instead of letting the past destroy you. 3 years after Vaughn's arrest, Anna received a call. It was from a prison warden. "Ms. Hayes, you have a visitor request from Colonel Vaughn." Anna's stomach tightened. "Why?" She didn't say, but she's been asking for months. Anna almost refused, almost hung up, but something made her pause. "I'll come." The prison was 2 hours north. Gray walls, razor wire. Anna signed in, went through security, and was led to a visiting room. Vaughn sat on the other side of the glass partition. She looked older, thinner. Her hair was gray now. Anna sat down, picked up the phone. Vaughn did the same. "Thank you for coming," Vaughn said. Anna didn't respond. "I'm dying," Vaughn continued. "Cancer. 6 months, maybe less. And I wanted to see you before I go." "Why?" Vaughn smiled, but it was sad. "Because you were right. About everything. And I wanted you to know that I know it." Anna leaned back. "You killed 12 people at Viper, tortured dozens more at Cardinal. And you want forgiveness?" "No. I want you to understand." Vaughn's eyes were steady. "I believed I was doing the right thing, protecting the country, stopping threats. And maybe, at the beginning, I was. But somewhere along the way, I stopped seeing people. I only saw problems. And that's when I became the monster." Anna stared at her. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you're doing what I should have done. You're building something good, something that saves instead of destroys. And I wanted you to know that even someone like me can see the difference." Anna stood. "I didn't come here for your approval." "I know, but you have it anyway." Vaughn set down the phone. "Goodbye, Anna." Anna walked out. She didn't look back. On the drive home, she thought about Vaughn's words, about redemption, about whether people like Vaughn deserved it. She didn't have an answer, but she knew one thing. She wouldn't let Vaughn's legacy define her. She'd build her own. 4 years after Viper, Anna stood on a stage at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. Behind her, a screen displayed the Shadow Project logo. In front of her, 200 journalists, military officials, and medical professionals waited. 4 years ago, Anna began, I was a nurse no one listened to. Someone people walked past without seeing, and when I tried to speak up, I was told to stay in my lane, to know my place. She paused. But I didn't, and because of that, a conspiracy that killed dozens of people was exposed. A woman who believed she was untouchable is spending the rest of her life in prison. And legislation was passed that prevents programs like Cardinal from ever existing again. The room was silent. I'm not telling you this to brag. I'm telling you because there are people in this room and watching at home who feel invisible, who've been dismissed, who think their voices don't matter. And I'm here to tell you, they do. Your voices matter. Your observations matter. Your courage matters. She looked directly at the cameras. Don't let anyone tell you that staying quiet is safer. Don't let anyone convince you that speaking up isn't worth the risk, because the truth is, silence protects the wrong people. And your voice, just one voice, can change everything. The applause started slowly, then built. Anna stepped down from the stage. Walker was waiting in the wings. That was something, he said. Just the truth? The truth people needed to hear. Anna smiled. And for the first time in years, she felt complete. Not because she'd won, not because she'd been recognized, but because she'd turned pain into purpose, silence into strength, and invisibility into impact. That evening, Anna returned to her apartment. She poured a glass of wine, sat by the window, and looked out at the city. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. She opened it. I saw your speech. I've been too scared to report what's happening at my hospital. But you inspired me. I'm going to speak up. Thank you. Anna stared at the message. Then she smiled. Because that was the real victory. Not the headlines, not the awards, but the ripple effect. The lives changed because one person decided enough was enough. She raised her glass to the window, to the fight, to the truth, to everyone who'd ever been dismissed and told they didn't matter. You matter, she whispered. All of you. Don't ever forget that. And in that moment, sitting alone in her apartment, Anna Hayes, the nurse no one had listened to, the medic left for dead, the witness who refused to stay silent, understood something profound. She hadn't just survived, she'd transformed, and in doing so, she'd shown others that they could too. The quiet ones, the overlooked ones, the underestimated ones. They were the ones who changed everything, and Anna had proven it, not by being perfect, not by being fearless, but by refusing to accept that her voice didn't matter, because it did, and so did theirs. And that truth, that simple, powerful truth, was worth every fight, every risk, every moment of doubt. Anna had been invisible once, but now she was a beacon. And the light she'd ignited would burn long after she was gone, carried forward by every person she'd trained, every life she'd saved, every voice she'd inspired to speak. That was her legacy. Not monuments or medals, but people. Changed, empowered, unbreakable. Anna set down her glass and smiled. The fight wasn't over. It never would be. But she was ready. And she wasn't alone anymore. She never had been. She just hadn't known where to look. The quiet ones were everywhere, waiting, watching, ready to speak. And when they did, the world would have no choice but to listen.